Hey Mustangs, this is Ms. Otter. This is your Math Spiral Review for May 14th, Phase 3 of our distance learning. Let's go ahead and get started. Ahmad bought 6 paperback books that each cost $3. He also bought 1 hardcover book that cost $11. How much did he spend on the, not 4, but 7 books? So that was a typo. I hope that if you caught that, you just knew that it meant 7 and not 4, but that's okay. So basically what we have to do, we have to look at this information. 6 paperback books cost $3 and 1 hardcover that cost $11. So I'm going to go ahead and write my equation. I'm going to put the 6 paperback books times $3 so I know exactly how much all of those cost altogether without adding up $3 6 times. And then I'm going to add up the cost of the paperback book, which was simply 1 times $11 or $11. So when I do this, I'm going to take and always do my parentheses first. So 6 times 3 is 18 or $18. And then 11 times 1 is, of course, $11. So you have a total of 18 plus 11, which is going to give you $29 total spent on books. Okay? All right. The next one, write the expression in standard form, meaning that you have to write this out the way you'd see it. So what this is asking really is 10 times 6 tens, which is 60. So 10 times 60, or 1 times 6 with 2 zeros, is going to be 600. The next one is 3 thousandths divided by 10. So you're going to take 3,000 and divide it by 10. And an easy way to do this is just to cross off these zeros, and you're left with 300 divided by 1. So your answer is simply going to be 300. Okay. The last one is going to be 4 tens and 3 ones, which is going to be 43 times 10. So 43 times 10, 43 times 1 is 43. With 1 0 at the end is going to be 430. And that's it. All right, so this next one is, what is the value that is missing? So even though that these are kind of wonky and sideways, I see that I have denominators of 8. So I know my denominator on this problem is going to be 8. So now what I have to decide is 7 plus what is going to give me 10. So 7 plus 3 is going to give me 10, which means that 7/8 plus 3/8 gives me 10/8. So to show a drawing of this, I could do it a couple of ways. You could draw circles, squares, however you want to do it. I'm going to go ahead and draw some squares. So here's one square to show 7/8. So I'm just going to start simply by filling in 7/8. I'm going to make this into 8s first. I always like to do halves. It makes drawing fractions just a little bit easier and a little bit more accurate. So I'm going to fill in 7. There we go. Okay, and then it says to add 3/8 to that total. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make another square here. Let's go ahead and make it blue. I'm going to make it almost the exact same size. Hopefully it gets pretty close. Okay, and because the denominator is still 10, let me move this over to make it a little bit more even. And so because the denominator is still 10, because the denominator is still 8, I'm going to cut it up into 8 parts again. Always halves. Okay, that's a total of 8. And then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna color in 3 for 3/8. So you can show a drawing like this and show that something, this plus this gives you 10/8 all together. If you have a variation of that, or they're all one big long line, that's totally fine too. All right, next, the line plot shows the length of time each student read in 1 week. What is the difference in hours between the most hours read and the least? So first I need to find the most hours. The most hours read is going to be right here, okay? The least hours read is going to be right here. So I have to take and subtract my orange number from my blue number. The way I'm going to do that is if I zoom in on this number line between 0 and 1, I see that I have 1, 2, 3, 4 total pieces. So I'm going to break this down into fourths. 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and of course 1 whole would be the same thing as 4/4. Okay, so I know that my denominator is 4. So when I'm looking at this, I have 1 and 1/4, and I have 1 and 2/4. So that's going to be my smallest number right here. Is going to be, oops, I wrote 2/3. Oh, sorry guys. 1 and 2/4. So this is going to be my lowest. Okay, and then if I zoom over, I'm going to kind of do the same thing, but I'm going to start with 3. So I would have 3, and here's 3 and 1/4. Here's 3 and 2/4, and here's 3 and 3/4. So the two numbers that I'm going to have to subtract are going to be my 1 and 2/4, which is over here, and 1 and 3/4, which is going to be over here. We can do this a couple different ways. So the way I'm going to do it, let's zoom out. So I'm going to do 3 and 3/4 minus 1 and 2/4. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start with my whole numbers, which is going to be 3 and 1, and I'm going to take and subtract them. So 3 minus 1 is 2. And then because I see these are going to work, I'm going to take and subtract my fractions. So, oops, sorry, I meant to highlight. So 3/4 minus 2/4. Because it's 3/4 minus 2/4, my denominator stays a 4. And then 3 minus 2 gives me 1. So what is the difference in hours between the most hours read and the least hours read? So what this is telling me is that 2 and 1/4 hours is the difference. If you want to think of hours though, or it says to tell it in times, so I need to find out what a quarter or 1/4 of an hour is. So if you think of a clock, you have 12, 3, 6, 9. A quarter of an hour, if I were to break this into 4 pieces, I'm going to break it right here and break it right here. You would see that between 12 and 3 is going to be 1/4. So this is 1 of 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. So 1/4 of an hour, 1/4 of an hour is actually going to give you 2 hours total and 15 minutes, because between the 12 and the 3, between here and here, is going to give you 15 minutes if you're counting by 5s. So I, of course, will accept the 1 and 1/4 hours or the 2 hours and 15 minutes. It's really up to you. Okay. 4/10 is the same as 0.4 or 0.4. All you have to do is complete the following. So 3/10 is simply going to be 0.3. This one we're going to go backwards. It helps if I put a 0 here. So 5/10 is going to be written in fraction form as 5/10. 20 hundredths means this 0 has to be in the hundredths place value. And decimal form is going to be 0.20 because the 0 has to end in the hundredths. You could have also written this number 2/10, because remember in fractions sometimes if you wanted to you could take off that extra 0. All right, last but not least, label the triangles: right, acute, obtuse, equilateral, scalene, or isosceles. So in order to do this, first you got to remember we label our triangles in 2 different ways. The first way we label them is going to be by their angles. Okay, so we have a right triangle, which means it has a 90-degree angle to it. We have an obtuse triangle, which means it has one angle that is greater than 90 degrees. So I'm going to put, let's see, greater than 90 degrees. We also have an acute triangle, which means all angles are below 90 degrees or are lower than 90 degrees. Okay. The other way to classify triangles is by their side lengths. So one of those ways is going to be equilateral. Equilateral means, I'm going to zoom out here just a little bit. Equilateral means all sides are the same length. Okay. The next one you have is going to be scalene, which means all sides are different lengths. And last but not least, you have isosceles. This, I think, is my favorite. Oops, I-S-O-S. Isosceles meaning two are the same and one is different. Okay, so I'm going to start with labeling the angles. So if I look at the first one, and I got to see the tick marks mean that they're all the same. Okay, so when I look at the first one for the angles, I see that this is acute, acute, acute. So this is an acute triangle. And then I look at side lengths. Because of these tick marks here, this side is the same as this side is the same as this side. So if all the sides are the same, that means it's an acute equilateral triangle. So I'm going to go ahead and write acute equilateral. E-Q-U-I. Okay. The next triangle, again, we're going to look at sides first, or angles first and then sides. So this is an acute angle, this is an acute angle, but this is an obtuse angle. Because it has one obtuse angle, it's going to be an obtuse triangle. And then the sides are all different lengths, and I can tell that because there's no tick marks here. So this side, oops, let me do this in blue. This side is different than this side is different than this side. So this is going to be an obtuse scalene triangle. This next triangle, when I look at the angle, I see acute, acute, and a right angle. Okay, that's that 90-degree angle. So this is a right triangle. I don't see any tick marks in this, so I could say this is scalene because I don't see any of these lines like this. However, looking at it, I could say these two are probably the same and this one's different. So I'll take two answers on this one. I'll take a right isosceles or a right scalene. Either one will be fine, but choose one of them, okay? On this next triangle, I see an acute angle, and then an obtuse angle. So this is going to be an obtuse triangle. And then again, there are no tick marks on this one. So this side looks very similar to this side, but since there's no tick marks, we can assume that they're all different. So for this one, I'll accept the same. This could be obtuse isosceles or obtuse scalene. I'm not sure if they just forgot to put the tick marks or if that was intentional, but I could see how you could get isosceles or scalene on that, so I would accept either answer. The next triangle I see is acute, 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 and they're so small, so they're so acute. So this is also going to be an acute triangle. And then I see the tick marks here, so same, same. This one's got to be different, meaning that this is going to be an acute isosceles. Okay, no ors on this one. Yep. Okay, last but not least, I see I have acute, 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 so it is an acute triangle. And since there are no tick marks, I'm going to say that all the sides are different, so this is scalene. Okay, and there you have it. This is going to be the math for the May 14th Spiral Review. See you next time.